So just talking about if you folks happen to source a logo for your client that has a white background, I'm confident you folks will be able to find one that has a quote transparent background. That means you'll have no white around your logo. You'll just have your actual logo and nothing else will be around it. So as we did in class, there's a couple ways we can physically do this. So first and foremost, we can do a couple things by unlocking this layer first. And I never like to change my original file. I always like to keep it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, click and drag it over to this plus sign to duplicate that file. Then I'm going to go ahead and hide the original, and I'm going to call this original. So a couple ways we can do this. One way, to be honest, personally, I don't feel is the best way to do it, but I do just want to walk through it. We can go ahead and use our magic wand and select the white. The reason why we're selecting white is because that's what we want to remove. When we do that, we notice that inside of these is not selected because I just selected this exterior. So if I want to select anywhere that is white, if I just click on, let's deselect, if I go ahead and just click that again, if I say select, I can go similar. So now it's going to pick up anything similar than what I originally set. So that would be white. So now you can see it's gone ahead and highlighted the interior of the P and the A, and you can see the marquee or what they call marching ants. So if I'm doing a destructive edit here, I would literally just go ahead and press delete. And now you can see when you have that checkered gray and white background, that now means the white has been eliminated. You do probably see a little bit of a halo. Again, that will depend on the resolution of that logo. But that's one way we can do it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to call this destructive edit. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to duplicate that original again and bring it here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work with our masking. So our masking is this little button here on our layers, layer mask. So if I go ahead and add a layer mask, you can see if I highlight this, this is my image and I have a square around it. And if I highlight this, that means I'm now working the mask because it's around here. Again, here, if I click here, it means I'm editing the original. If I click here, I'm working within the mask. The mask will always be gray scale tones, so black, white, potentially gray, but generally should only be black or white. So how this works is if I'm just going to go to my brush tool, and you can see I have black as my color. I'm on my mask. If I go ahead and add black, you can see it starts to take away the image. So we can now see where I drew shows up here in my mask. So you can see that where there's black, it removes, and where there's white is what stays. So I'm just going to go ahead and edit and undo that. So that now means if I select all of the white, I want to make that black within my mask. So I'm going to again click over to my image. I'm going to use that magic wand again. You can also use a quick selection tool, but for this instance, just removing the white, I do suggest just using that magic wand. So again, I'm on the image. I'm going to click and select, and I'm going to just do as we did previously, which is select similar to snag all of the white pieces. So now I have the white selected. I'm going to go over to click over to my mask. So what I want to do, since I have my white background selected here in my image, I want to remove it, which means I'm going to color this black. So if I have this marquee on, that's now an active shape or an active selection. So I can now fill this color. I can go over to edit, fill. And I'm going to fill it with my foreground color because if you go over to the left on the toolbar, that's what's in the foreground is the black. If I want it to fill it white, I can use this drop down and say, fill it with my background color. From here, I can also physically say, I just want to fill it with black if you happen to have other colors showing up here. saying that when you are selected on your mask, your colors will always shift to a black and white. But anyway, again, as I mentioned, there's several ways we can do this. So let's just say we want to fill this with black. If we press OK, we can now see, and then we say Command D to delete. We can physically see if we were able to zoom in on this. I'm unable to actually zoom in on what the layer looks like, but we can get a good gauge that all that background is black, and we can see that little bit of ring, and we can see Cineplex Cinemas are here physically in white, because when we're in a mask, the white is what shows and the black is what is removed. So now to save this, a couple things. We could physically, first off, save this as a Photoshop file, because maybe we need to go back. Maybe we need to, maybe we didn't remove enough, or we want to go in and edit again. I'm always a strong believer in just saving that Photoshop file, just because it preserves those layers. And if we need to go back, we can. So I've saved that as a Photoshop file, but now what I need to do in order to properly utilize this is I need to save this as a PNG. A PNG file is a file that will preserve a transparent background. A JPEG file will not preserve a transparent background, and it will flatten it. So if I say this is a JPEG, I'm going to end up with something that looks like this again. So how we do this: File, Save a Copy. Using that dropdown, I'm going to go ahead and select PNG. I can remove the word copy. Press Save, and we're done.